Hey guys, I am so excited. I've got plantain galore, dandelions galore. Yarrow is just starting to come up and it's right about to bloom, so I'm gonna go forage some of that. And hopefully I'll run into some red clover and come back in with all the herbs and use them for various tinctures, salves, and even just dry for tea. So I'm gonna take you guys along with me to do that. Let's go forage. So the best time to forage for yarrow would be in the later morning after the sun has come out and dried up the dew, but before it gets too hot to where all the essential oils are dried up. And this time of year is perfect. We're not in the hot summertime yet. It's still cool in the evenings. It's not quite mid-spring, but soon mid-spring. And I like to pick right before the blooms open up because you can use the flowers and the leaves for medicinal purposes, but the leaves are so fresh and tender and young, and the energy, there's a lot more energy going to the leaves before the blooms are open. Once the blooms are open, there's probably less medicinal properties in the leaves and more in the flowers, because now the flowers are getting all the energy from the plant since they're open. So there's a little more here to gather and a little more over there, and then I'm gonna probably drop all of this off inside and go looking for some plantain and dandelions. I did have Joel mow yesterday, but there's a slope in the front yard that he's not allowed to mow because he could tip over. It's dangerous. So hopefully there's a lot of plantain left there, as well as dandelions. So last year I looked for yarrow on my property, and I know I saw it, but I mistook it for something else. And when I continued to watch videos and read my book on herbal remedies, I realized I had been mistaken, and what I took for something else actually was yarrow. So I've literally been waiting since last spring, because I missed my window, since last spring for this opportunity. I'm super excited. I'm gonna tell you a little bit about why yarrow is so good for us and such a strong herbal medicine. And then we'll take a trip back outside and see if we can find any plantain and dandelion, which I will also share with you how many incredible medicinal properties those have. This book is pretty awesome if you are interested in learning more about medicinal herbs and making tinctures and salves and teas and lots of other recipes. Not only does her name is Rosemary Gladstar, Not only does she teach you how to grow, but also identify so you can forage, and how to use the herbs and all of the ways they can be used and the combinations they can be used. So I've really enjoyed this book. So Yarrow has antiseptic, anti-inflammatory, astringent properties, and it's highly regarded for healing wounds, bruises, and sprains. It's also probably best known for stopping bleeding. You use both the leaves and the flowers. Sorry, I have a little bit of allergies from the wind out there. There are recipes in here for a first aid tincture, fever reducing tea, and salves, and even varicose vein liniment. I'm going to focus on a salve, and then I will be growing more comfrey this year. My salves from last year will probably expire within the next 2 months or so. I had a plain calendula salve from last year and a comfrey. This has proven to be so effective. My mom unfortunately had several injuries this last year, and she would use this and said it was better than anything else. So I will definitely be growing more comfrey. It's starting to come in, and make some more comfrey salve for this year. And instead of just doing straight calendula, I'll be mixing in the yarrow. I don't like to mix the comfrey with the calendula and yarrow because you can use this on open wounds, where comfrey is not recommended to use on cuts or scrapes or open wounds, but more so for sprains and aches and even broken bones and bruises, soreness, any aches or pains. So that's a little bit about yarrow, and let's take a little trip back outside and look for plantain and dandelions. I totally went foraging with you guys, leaving bread in the oven, which my children have come to make a lot of fun of me for going on long walks and burning food. Thankfully, I was right there, and Joel ran outside to tell me the oven was beeping, and he turned it off and saved my bread loaf. So the outdoors distract me. I forget everything that is happening inside. And also I want to show you my awesome wildflower bouquet. I picked this last night after dinner. Everything's starting to bloom. There's no Queen Anne's lace just yet, but I did see a few starting to bud out there, just like 2 or 3. So those will be in full bloom soon, and we'll start adding those to the bouquets as well. I love this time of year. So before we head back outside, I'm going to read a little bit about dandelion. For those of you that don't know what dandelions are, they're the beautiful little yellow blooms that become little puffs of seeds that you blow and are considered a weed, but they're not. They have incredible medicinal properties, and I haven't done much with them. I've done tea. I've done dandelion honey, which we love. The texture is so delicious. And I've gathered the leaves and dried the leaves as well as the flowers for tea. And well, when I say dandelion tea, the first time what I meant is cold dandelion tea. So the fresh flowers, steeping in water with honey, and you can add lemon to it and mint or peppermint and flavor it up and put it in the fridge, and it lasts a few days. And then of course I do hot tea, which I usually dry a bunch of flowers and leaves and jar them, and then just have them throughout the year for hot tea. And then the dandelion honey, you rinse the flowers. I usually soak them for about 10 minutes in apple cider vinegar and water, so that if there's any little bugs or anything that get out, rinse them out real nicely, and then just take all the petals off and mix them up with honey, and it's delicious. So you can use the roots as well, which I have not, and they are rich in vitamins A, B, and C, and D, iron, potassium, calcium. They are useful for food. You can eat them. It's a classic liver tonic, a blood purifier, stimulating decongesting effect on the liver, and it's great for digestion, and the bitter compounds that stimulate receptor sites on the tongue signal the digestive tract. So I think digestion and liver is the main things here, and there's more. So don't look at dandelions as just a weed anymore. Liver and kidney health. There's, yeah, lots of liver medicines here and yummy recipes. And then lastly, I will read to you a little bit about plantain. Unfortunately, I didn't run into any red clover, which I love for premenstrual symptoms. I think it is very, very effective. I cannot do red raspberry leaf. I just don't like the way it affects me. So I have found that red clover works fantastic for me personally for premenstrual symptoms. And I usually make it into a tincture and just take a dropper or two full every day. Now plantain, I think it's called white man's footprint because it's usually where we're stepping and not just growing wild. You definitely know what plantain is. It is considered a weed. People don't even realize what is on their land. The bad thing about, you know, foraging in the city is things are probably sprayed. So if you have a place where you can go forage for plantain or dandelion, it's more than likely gonna be there. And of course, somewhere that hasn't been sprayed, but you can also order it dried, organic online and make all of these things yourself, ordering it from places that these things have been properly grown. So medicinal uses. Plantain draws toxicity from the body. It has a long history of use as a remedy for blood poisoning. It's considered a blood purifier, and it's really good for digestion, hepatitis, jaundice, skin eruptions. It's great for insect bites. In fact, if you're ever just out and about and you get stung by a bee or something and you see plantain, you can grab some of the leaves, chew it up in your mouth until it's really wet and chopped up, and then just put it directly on the sting and it will pull out the venom. Is it venom for a wasp? I don't know. Anyway, you can use the seed, the root, and the leaf. Interesting thing about the seeds is they are the #1 ingredient in Metamucil. So this is fantastic for digestion, and it's kind of like a mild laxative, the seeds are. The root and the leaf. I've only used the leaves and the seeds. I have not used the roots. And they're rich in fatty acids, protein, starch, vitamins B, C, K, and bitters. So you can do the little poultice, like I said. You can make a salve for skin. That's what I'm gonna add to my salve. I'll do yarrow, plantain, and calendula. So I've also made tinctures of plantain because of when you ingest it, it has other medicinal properties and benefits as well. So let's go see what we can find. You wanna look for flowers that are freshly opened, that don't have any wilting to them yet. And I try to get as little stem as possible so that it's easy to remove the petals later if I want to. Here's the plantain seeds. The leaves are a little too chopped up and old for me to pick, but I'm gonna take these seed stems. And I just dry them and then put them in tea. This is plantain. This is the broadleaf plantain. We have some spots of this, but we have more of the long, slender leaves variety. This looks too messed up to pick. I'm not gonna get this, but you see they're all nearby each other. And there's another spot and another and another. All these dandelions look happy and good to pick. Wow, look how big these leaves are. This is why they're called dandelions, by the way. Lion, dente de leon, dandy, lion tooth is the shape of the leaves. I just discovered a huge area of yarrow. Look at that. It's like 2 feet tall. Look at this. Awesome. I need to let some friends come over and forage. And of course, you guys, as you forage, be really, really mindful of snakes, especially on sunny days. Just tap stuff with your foot before you bend over and pick something. That's the #1 way people get bit by snakes, is going down to grab something without moving things around at first or kicking it first to ensure there's no snake in that area. They can feel the vibrations as you're approaching, so more than likely they'll get away, but you never know. You can never be too careful. So it's been several hours since we foraged this morning. It's 3 o'clock. I just got caught up in cooking lunch, cleaning up after lunch. The boys and I went and gathered lots of sticks. They're on the fire pit, ready to be burned. And now I'm free to, oh, and we did math. This is our last school day of the year, but we still have science. We'll do that later. It's too beautiful outside right now. So it's time to get this yarrow set up on a double boiler with some extra virgin olive oil. I'm going to just get all of the leaves and put them in a bowl, and the flowers, avoiding the stems, and just submerge it all with extra virgin olive oil on low, like low boil, and just slowly infuse the oil with the yarrow leaves and flowers. I'll probably add some plantain leaves in there, as well as some of my calendula, and I wanna let that simmer slowly and gently for about an hour. You don't want the oil to burn or boil. You don't wanna cook the herbs. You just want to gently apply heat to where the oils infuse the olive oil, and then strain it. So let's do that. Another good oil choice is avocado oil, but I would go with high quality oils since this is going on your body. And avocado and olive oil have a much longer shelf life than almond oil or a nut or a seed oil. While all of that starts to steam and get warm, I'm gonna go ahead and wash all this plantain, spread it out to dry. I'm gonna clean the dandelion flowers with some vinegar and water. I think I said apple cider vinegar earlier. I mean white distilled vinegar. And then I've got a lot of dandelion leaves as well, which I will wash as well, and just spread everything out to dry. Drying. I'm going to use probably all of it for tincture. I need to buy some 80 to 100 proof vodka and some food grade vegetable glycerin, and I'll use all the leaves for that. I might need to get some more before I have enough for a tincture. And then thankfully Plantain has a pretty long foraging season, so I can gather some more to dry for tea, and I still have some in my tea cabinet. The seeds I've seen everywhere, so I don't think it's gonna be an issue to find the seeds. Plantain's gonna be easy to keep on foraging throughout the spring and possibly even the summer. The dandelion, I used a lot of the flowers for dandelion honey, and I'm gonna dry all of this out to just save for tea. In about 10 minutes, I'm gonna strain my herbal infused oil, which is smelling fragrant of olive oil, but I can smell the herbs in there. It's on the lowest setting, and I'm gonna go ahead and get my beeswax ready so I can grate it, because literally after we strain that, we'll just measure how much we've got. We'll put the strained, clear, clean oil back into the double boiler and add the amount of beeswax needed until it all melts, and then we'll just pour it neatly into our amber jars and then clean the jars and label them. So I don't squish all of the herbs down into the strainer so that the oil that is being filtered out or strained out is really clean with no debris in it. And I don't use a cheesecloth or a coffee filter because then it keeps so much of the oil. So I just let it sit here for a while, straining, and then on another bowl, I will squeeze it out, and I could use this for cooking because all of these herbs are edible. So I have right under 4 cups of oil. So I'm gonna do right under 1 cup of grated beeswax. So, like I said before, for every cup of herb infused oil, you use 1/4 cup of beeswax, and look how much I have left. That's a little bit that I used to get right under a cup. This is such an affordable and beautiful gift idea. I'm probably gonna have way more than 3 little jars, so I'll take one to a friend this week. Now you just gently stir until all of the beeswax is melted. And if you wanted to add some lavender essential oils, now would be the best time for that. Lavender is a great choice because it also has healing properties, in particular for the skin, and very soothing properties for the skin. And it smells wonderful. Now I just take a plate and put a little drop of my salve to cool so that I can test the consistency. Once it's completely cooled, I'll just touch the salve and see how it feels on my skin. And if the consistency is right, not too thick, not too thin, we are good to go in a jar.